Hi, I'm Michaela Henry, and I'm going to be talking about anamorphic art in my first blog entry. So, anamorphic art is short for art of perception. Anamorphic is more so the extreme perception of art, making things harder to understand unless you know where the actual anamorphic is inside the art. Now, so we looked at a video on Halben's art, and some people talked about that. Now, I believe that the skull in that picture was trying to show the death and the pain that may have led from the king trying to break away from the church. Now, you have all these other symbols that are in there as well that are positive, but then you have the skull and the crucifix. Now, the skull is, to me, being a comparison as like you have the living world, and then you have like all these things these men have, and then there's the skull, and the skull kind of forces you to look down away from all the things that they have and look at the skull, and the skull is a symbol of death. And most people aren't going to expect it. When you see all the other components of his piece of art, then you see the skull, it kind of throws you off. And then you have Roskenberg. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but you can tell that there's some anamorphic art in these pieces because they're all different little components being put together, and they all kind of make you look and think in different ways about what's actually going on. And now my favorite is going to be Hauser. Now her art, favorite out of all of them, because it really, to me, compares to art that I did when I was in middle school and high school. She takes words and then puts them on top of things such as buildings, cities, landmarks, and this is an anamorphic art because it makes you think about all the different words that are going on to the art itself. It makes you think about how it connects to like what's going on in the backdrop. And then we have Geisenbach art, which shows you the impossible. She has art of people with 3 eyes, some with wings, and art of animals doing humanly things. And lastly, there's Gollenstein's art, which to me was a little bit harder to actually find the anamorphic within it because I can see some of it, but not very clearly. But in one of his works, there's a man who seems like he's laying on a bed, but the frame is blacked out on the edges and then kind of fade from within, seeming as if maybe he's actually laying on a cloud and not a bed. Now, when coming to comparing artists from the 1500s and contemporary artists, you'll see that there are some similarities. In the 15 to comparison pieces, the artists, they're adding random pieces that tie into the work, but are also a little bit different that makes you really think about what's going on. In many cases, it would clue as to how life may have been under all the sparkle and the glitz and glam, that maybe there's really something going on deep down under. And it sends you messages also as in upcoming work and predictions on what may be going on. Both of these are kinds of work that can help one see from another person's perspective of how their life is or how somebody else's life is. And I believe you can find a lot of art around you that shows these. It's just about the lighting. Even when you're making your own art, maybe taking pictures, it's about the lighting, the angles you're taking the pictures, and you can even do editings where you can give it the lighting that maybe you couldn't capture, but you give it that lighting instead. And you can change the angling. Maybe you couldn't get a certain angle, but you can edit it in a way to get that angle. Now, in my first glitch project, my first picture, I had put it in the grayscale. It was once in color, but I took a picture that was in color, it was a straightforward picture. I changed it to grayscale and I angled it, changed the angling to change my perspective to make it seem as if maybe somebody smaller down was looking at my picture. Or well, looking at the building I was showing when I took the picture. And then in a second picture, I had a picture of a dessert. Now the dessert itself was originally a red dessert, with on an all-white background, and I changed it where it's starting off with red to mint. And that fading on the two-tone that I added tint to it, it really brought out the bright red of the dessert itself. And then in my third image, it was really more simple, but I changed it in a way that the flowers blossoming on the trees looked more like snow, and the brick really popped out. It was very simple editing, but it did really add a wow factor to it. And then my second to last, I expanded the picture on the brick as well. And then the last picture that I have, I did add it, I made it black and white and added a teardrop overlay to it to give it more of a darkness feeling, maybe a longing feeling that when you're looking at the picture, you think that the girl is longing for something. Maybe she's sad and maybe she had a hard day or something like that. Something to really catch at somebody's heart. And I add the teardrops to really give that editing effect to make people feel those things. And so that's going to be the it of my blog. I hope everybody's having a nice day, and thank you for watching.